Hey, Lori.
Good morning. How you doing?
I am doing well. Thank you for joining me on Indispensable Appraisers podcast.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I'm really pleased to be part of this.
Cool. And you want to just give me a quick overview of who's Lori, what do you do, where you at?
Sure. I'm going to be here as Lori Noble. I am a veteran residential appraiser. I serve the rural and underserved regions of West Virginia and Western Virginia. Um, got into some regulatory affairs in 2018 and 2019 around licensing, which elevated us to dig a little bit deeper, and we created a not-for-profit called the Appraisal Regulation Compliance Council. That went live this last year, and we've spent the past 2 years compiling data, the anecdotal data that everybody talks about, and put it into a cohesive format that's a national database broken down state by state that shows the various elements of appraiser independence and what's happening in the appraisal management space. So that's kind of where I'm at today.
Cool, cool. Thanks for the overview. So
Sure.
let's jump into what in the valuation space, what are we winning at? Are we doing a good job on anything?
That's been really questionable, I think, these past couple of years. Um, on the tail of what I think that we knew had to be an adjustment period to some social justice issues, I think that we're winning at understanding the laws better. I think that we're winning at understanding procedures better and what that means for us as licensees.
Okay, great. And just dovetailing that into what do you think is our greatest challenges from the industry in a broad sense? I know it's a big question.
That's huge. And I think that something that really falls on my heart right now is leadership. I think I mentioned when we first met, I didn't fall into this role by choice, but by default. And I think that our greatest challenge right now is that voice of leadership. I think we saw it like with Cindy Chance and the messaging that she was bringing to the table. So it was a huge challenge to see that excitement grow and then be diminished as quickly as it came, especially considering it was on the right track for the messaging that we needed.
Yeah, definitely. I met Cindy. We started an organization called FIVA, Financial
Okay.
Institution Valuation Advisors. And to be fair, I've never was involved local or nationally with the Institute. And when Cindy came on the radar, I was just for the first time excited, realizing, oh, I didn't know that an association could be fun, it could be engaging. And she was very nice to come on to our program. She spoke, made a good impression to the people that she met, and it is a little strange for me to see that kind of come in and then just disappear and go back to lack of transparency, lack of communication, lack of enthusiasm. That's why I'm doing this podcast. It's called Indispensable Appraisers because we need to inject more enthusiasm, do more of these kind of talking with each other, not necessarily just social media, but communication, right? And Cindy would just even doing her basic from Cindy's desk email was really it would I was like I look forward to reading it. It was authentic. She actually stood up for appraisers about the appraisal bias narrative, and that wasn't even done to date, right? So I think the lack of communication before and seemingly after really does hit hard. You're right.
Yep, she brought a great message forward. The messaging that I think that the members wanted. I've been an Appraisal Institute member for quite a while. It was something I really wanted and aspired for. Um, at the same time, I know that in the background, all these years, we have been pushing them along for the type of messaging that Cindy brought. And when it occurred and we saw the momentum that was there, it was fire. It was absolutely fire. Um, it's very disappointing beyond measure uh, to see it get retracted, and the behaviors and the way that she was treated. So I just, I was really devastated by that. And the disappointment probably is going to stick around for a long time.
Yeah, I think the personality of an appraiser, I'm not really sure if it's more of a commercial guy. I don't know the residential flavor of they tend to be very introverted, very quiet. They don't fight back, they don't communicate very well. And I think what it set for those that are maybe not posting about it, not really talking about it, I do think it struck a nerve, and I think there's a lot of very angry appraisers that are not
Mhm.
saying anything, but they feel just so disappointed, and they tasted something of, oh wow, it could be this, and forgetting the unceremoniously the firing and why that happened, and hiding behind attorneys and whatever the details of that is, it's still, I think, angers appraisers, right? They didn't speak
Absolutely.
against the appraisal bias. She did. She gets fired. There's some stuff on LinkedIn, and there's some back and forth. There's a more recent petition that was sent out. But I think appraisers inwardly take it, and I think they're still mad, quite frankly.
Mhm. And as analysts, and I know this firsthand, we're not the best communicators. It's very, very difficult for us to articulate feelings and emotions and things like that. We're very fact-based and just not the most effective that way. And that human side that she brought to that discussion was so critical for us. She was moving mountains in a very, very short amount of time. We needed that voice. I didn't understand the disparity against residential licensees and the PAVE messaging. It is very questionable the way that that was presented and the way that agencies, organizations piled on without ever asking one question. And I serve one of the poorest, most underserved places in the country. And I couldn't get anyone from those entities to contact me or help, in that aspect. So it was definitely an agenda. And that was clearly, set forth with the almost $100 million going towards the defamation of the professional appraiser without accuracy. So the tremendous amount of misinformation that went out and Cindy standing up for it was a breath of fresh air. And we just absolutely have to have more of that. We have lived through 14 years of misinformation. So ARC, what Cindy was doing, and other people are bringing these fact-based studies forward. And since those events, I do believe that the discrimination bias narrative has been completely diminished and proven not to be a systemic issue, which we knew all along.
Yeah, definitely. So given that, you brought up leadership, where do we go from here? How do we improve our industry in
We did,
any topic?
yeah, sure. We definitely get out in front of policymakers. That is step number one. Kind of like yourself, Jeff, you saw a gap, that needed for this communication and the right communication to go forward. So we have leaned on our leadership to carry our voices forward, but we're not seeing that because of the capture. And when the entities are captured by, who they're supposed to be collaborating to coordinate with, it's not an effective system. So we have to draw some lines in the sand, be distinct about our messaging, be factual about our messaging, stick to the laws. And what we have found, obviously, is the lack of adherence to administrative procedures. Um, that would be one place to garner getting us going in the right direction. And everything then would fall into place behind that because everyone would be following the same rules.
Cool. Is there anything else that we didn't touch upon that you want to talk about?
Sure. One last thing, I'd love for folks to come and visit us at ARC at our website and read the policy brief that we submitted to the CFPB regarding their inquiry into appraisal management companies and antitrust with price gouging. We have in our study curated the database that shows $24 billion in damages and loss to consumer buying power because of the gap in regulations. So I really encourage people to come and check out our RFI statement to the CFPB and support our research because it's costly, it's time consuming, and we would greatly appreciate donations to help us keep this going.
Cool. Well, Lori, I definitely appreciate your time to joining me on Indispensable Appraisers podcast.
I appreciate it so much. I appreciate you doing this very much.
Well, like you said, it needs some leadership. We need to communicate more and we have to stop hiding in the shadows.
Absolutely. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too.